Have you ever noticed how women try to explain away the fact that the dirty, dangerous jobs are done almost exclusively by men? Things like logging, mining, roofing, and construction jobs in general, not to mention all the infrastructure jobs like building roads, sewers, running electrical and internet lines, and a host of others that I could mention. Those jobs are dominated by men, making up roughly 95 to 98% on average of those workforces. It's also why well over 90% of the workplace deaths are incurred not by women, but men. It's because men almost exclusively do those jobs. Now, when this is mentioned to women, they have two standard go-tos that they use to explain why this is the case. First, they'll claim that women aren't allowed to do those jobs, which is laughable considering how many open positions there are in those fields and the desperation many companies have to fill those positions. Not to mention how these companies go out of their way to try and recruit women into those positions so that they can get the PR coup they'd get by being able to claim they employ large numbers of women. Let's be honest, they'd love nothing more than to increase their DEI score by hiring women in droves. Yet if you ask these companies, why is it they don't hire more women for these positions? The answer you almost always get is the very same one. They get very, very few women applying for them. The second reason they'll give is that women get harassed at these jobs, even SA'd, at far higher rates than they would in any other position. Now, this isn't based on actual fact, but instead is nothing more than hyperbole. Think about it for a moment. If this were in fact true, where's all the lawsuits over it? There aren't very many, just like there aren't very many being filed on the so-called wage gap. The reason being is because it doesn't exist. It's a false narrative. If that was the actual reality, if it was really true, there'd be a never-ending list of lawsuits filed by women funded by the women's groups. Yet, there aren't any. So much so that they're actually statistically insignificant. This narrative is in fact one that was created by feminists and women in general, and told to other women to actually discourage them from going into these dirty, disgusting jobs. It's why they go out of their way to avoid discussing the issue completely. Oh, sure, they'll talk about the glass ceiling all day long, but the glass floor? Oh, we don't want to talk about that. We don't even want to acknowledge it exists. They're perfectly willing to let the men do those jobs. But let's say for the moment that this false narrative they've created is actually true. Let's assume for a moment that women are indeed getting discriminated against and harassed in these type of jobs. I have a very simple solution for you. One so simple, it could have been started decades ago. Hell, it could happen almost overnight right now if they actually wanted it to. What is it? Women could go and start their own companies doing things like, say, roofing and construction, and then only hire female employees. No men means no chance of harassment or SA. This isn't a new idea or even groundbreaking. As I said, it could have been done decades ago. In fact, way back when, some people were pushing for it. Yet it hasn't happened. Because you see, while women will claim all day long that they can do anything men can, something I actually agree with, what they don't want to do is acknowledge the very real fact that they don't want to do those jobs that the men do. They don't want to get dirty and disgusting. They don't want to risk their lives day after day. There's plenty of talented women who could do these jobs and be part of, say, a female-only roofing company. So it's not like there's not enough available talent to fill those positions. It's not that there's not enough of them who could do it. It's that there's not enough of them who would do it. There's also plenty of government assistance and other funding through grants to help them get started opening these businesses. Getting capital isn't the problem. And once they did open them, governments at every level are known to give preferential treatment to women-owned businesses, so they'd get a leg up on winning bids and so forth. Add to it, other women could then hire these female-only companies to do the various jobs that need to be done and thus support them. So in the end, there'd be plenty of work for these women-operated companies to do, which means that whole "there's not enough money" argument goes right out the window. The truth of the matter is that women could have easily started these businesses and taken advantage of all the help available to do so for decades now. Yet, despite this, there's very, very few of these businesses in existence. Why? Because, as I said before, women don't actually want to do the dirty, dangerous jobs. They want and expect men to do them. What women want are the CEO and managerial positions, the ones where their lives aren't at risk every day, the ones where they don't have to worry about ruining their $200 cut and color or their recent mani-pedi, which is why they've created this false narrative that no one will hire them and that there's tons of SA going on in these jobs. They use it as a false flag to avoid acknowledging and admitting the very reality that they want men to do those jobs, not women. They don't want to accept any responsibility for that choice, so they seek out ways to be able to blame men rather than actually doing something about the issue. And my response to those women is this: ladies, excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and they all stink. Stop whining, stop complaining, stop blaming men. Step up and take responsibility. Go start your own firms in these fields and get to work. And believe me, ladies, when I say this, men will gladly step aside and stop doing those jobs. We'll stay at home loading the dishwasher or running the washing machine and dryer while you're out doing the back-breaking work 12 to 15 hours a day and getting little to no appreciation for doing so.